A very good morning to you all. And oh, my voice just went funny. Welcome to welcome to Ask X Factor Live. This is week 13 of our 18-week pilot, and we're so excited today to have Teisha Archer with us today on the show, talking about major gifts and capital campaigns and giving you lots of tips and advice today to help you enhance your program or maybe get started in this area. So welcome. We've got people joining us there this morning. Good morning, Brett. Good morning, Elise. Hi, Josie. Welcome. Take a seat. Maybe some of you are in our previous session this morning. We just had a beautiful hour session with Liliana on event fundraising. And now I'm back here hosting beautiful Teisha Archer for the next 45 minutes to an hour. So welcome, come in, settle in. Welcome back if you've been with us over the last few weeks of Ask X Factor Live, or welcome if this is your first time being a part of our weekly live online broadcast. My name is Julia Keedy. I am your host this morning, and I've been hosting the shows every week for the 18-week pilot program. And I'm also the founder and CEO of the X Factor Collective, which, if you haven't heard about it and it's only a new thing on your radar, makes complete sense because we only just launched formally a few months ago and we're just getting started. For those who don't know me, I've been a part of the social impact sector, which is what I call it, for the last 10 years, and a highlight of that being as the founding CEO of the Australian Women Donors Network, during which time I got to meet a very, very broad range of people, individual philanthropists, business philanthropy, a lot of the big trusts and foundations across Australia and around the world, a lot of the organisations working to advance women and girls. And what a time it was 10 years ago to be at the forefront of that. After that, I pretty much became an accidental consultant and accidentally did that for about 7 years under the business name of X Factor Consulting Group. A number of the consultants and coaches in the X Factor Collective were actually a part of those early days of the X Factor Consulting Group. But it was during this time over the 7 years that I could see a lot of the isolation in the social change space for consultants, coaches and specialist agencies, as well as our clients, as well as people working as social change makers. And I thought there's got to be some ways that we can reduce that isolation, that we can look at ways to make life easier and a bit cheaper and a bit more fun to be a social change maker. So I decided we needed to build a collective and start to think about different ways that we could make life easier. And part of that is building a knowledge sharing community where you can come and find the answers that you need from really experienced operators, consultants, mentors, and specialist agencies on whatever topic it is that you need. So we've launched with 30 foundation members. We're growing out to 100 members across 300 areas of specialisation. So you can just pick up the phone at any point in time, whether it's to do with HR or technology or fundraising or comms or governance or whatever it might be, and we'll have someone in the community to be able to help you. It might be that you just need someone for an hour or a month or a major project. It doesn't really matter. It's about a bit of a one-stop shop for you to be able to connect with the people that you need when you need them. So we've got lots of other initiatives coming out next year. One of the ones that we're doing here now is Ask X Factor Live. It's a free weekly online broadcast bringing you one of our beautiful members to share their knowledge. And we've been recording these sessions, and we have just launched our YouTube channel, The Exchange, which I'll show you a bit later on, which features 58 videos with little questions and answers to common questions that we have in our sector. And we're growing that out to 125 videos by the end of the year. And my goal is to have 500 questions answered on that program, on that channel, for you to be able to dip in and out of, again, finding the answers that you need to get on with your social mission. So before I introduce Teisha, let me just let you know today we've got 7 or 8 great questions that we're going to be getting through with Teisha today, but we are here to answer any questions that you may have. Please feel free to pop them in the chat box or the Q&A box there. We're using Zoom webinars platform. It's really easy and elegant program. We don't have Zoom yet as a sponsor, but maybe next year, which would be exciting. We are recording all of the sessions. You are welcome to answer your questions anonymously if you prefer. And if your link drops out on the internet for some reason, fear not, you can dial back in on the phone. And if you have a look there on the chat box, the phone numbers are there and the code, but I'm also going to put it up on the screen for you now. And you might just want to take a screenshot of that. So you've got the phone numbers and the code, and you can dial back in and listen to the session on your phone. So that's pretty much the introduction covered and housekeeping. So I think we can just really start getting into it now. So I am delighted to introduce you to Teisha Archer, a foundation member of the X Factor Collective. Teisha and I met while completing our Masters in Social Investment in Philanthropy together. She was definitely the more noisier one in the group. So, you know, I can throw that in there 10 years later.
Yeah, thanks.
But over the years, she's probably been one of the few people in the sector that I've really admired in the way that she handles herself in fundraising and philanthropy. Very, very professional, very amazing at getting results. But the care that she puts in with her teams, the care that she puts in with the causes that she's passionate about, connecting new donors and new people to new causes is an incredible strength. So Teisha's worked in philanthropy and fundraising for more than 10 years. She has a number of board positions across Australia as well, and some incredible organisations. Her major focus is around major gifts and campaigns, and her experience has been a lot across the education, social services and health sectors. And personally, she's up to $75 million that she has efforts that she has led to raise $75 million. So not a bad number to get to, Tish, when you're only such a spring chicken. It's great to have you here today. Do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone. I would like to say in my defense that during that course, I was also, at least for the last year, taking along a newborn baby. So not all the noise was coming just directly from me.
No, you were definitely the one of the bright sparks in the room, and I knew over the years that was someone that I wanted to have in the collective, and it's great to have you a part of what we're building.
Thank you.
Babe, before we get into some of these questions, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Can you share some of your background, and how is it that you end up being such a great fundraiser?
Sure. Well, I'm a juggler, not literally. But doing a lot of things all the time. As I said, I had a little boy during my studies who's now 6, and I also have a 7-month-old beautiful girl. I'm wife to a personal trainer who whips me into shape constantly. I never get a rest. I'm the ambassador for Cycling Mums Australia, and my claim to fame that I'm a former Tasmanian State duathlete, which I like to always tell Julia, remind Julia of that. In my spare time, I'm a fundraising coach and consultant. The reason I got into fundraising, well, like so many fundraisers, I didn't grow up saying when I get older I'm going to be a fundraiser. I was doing marketing, and it wasn't for me. I was working within the university sector in student recruitment in particular, and I was looking for a change, and a job came up at the University of Tasmania Foundation. I'd moved to Tasmania just a year before on a bit of a whim, and I haven't looked back since. I love it. I'm very passionate about connecting people with a vision to people with the means to make it happen. As you said, I love the health and education space in particular. It's what I'm personally very passionate about. But I through consulting now, I'm branching out and being able to combine my love of sport and active lifestyles with clients as well. That's been really nice.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Well, welcome if you're just joining us now to Ask X Factor Live. We're here talking about major gifts and capital campaigns today. or you might be watching this back on the Exchange, our YouTube channel. Welcome to you as well. People into the future. It's kind of weird welcoming people into the future who are watching the show, but welcome to you wherever you may be. We are going through a number of areas today. We've got some great tips and some great ideas from Teisha that you can take into your work starting today. So how do you identify a good major gift prospect? How do you know when is the right time to ask? What do you say when you're asking for a large amount of money from someone? And how much you get your board more involved, and lots more questions. So let's kick it off, shall we, Tish? The first question here is a very common question, but can you help us understand how would you decide what a major gift would be in your organisation?
Sure. It's difficult, I know, because you hear about organisations who raise a lot of money and those who only raise a little bit. And this question pops up a lot. So it sort of comes from executive in one sense of them asking, when you say a major gift, what do you mean? Because it's jargon in the industry.
Sure.
From management, when we're counting major gifts, what are you counting? And from staff, are our major gift levels too high or too low? Are we being too ambitious? Are we not being ambitious enough? So I think a good way to think about what constitutes a major gift in your organisation is to consider that Pareto principle, which we use, suggesting that 80% of your total gifts will come from 20% of your donors. And so if you look at this, it's a great starting point. You can jump into your database and do a little bit of research and see what the median gift is from your top 20% of donors. It's fair to say that in a smaller or newer charitable organisation, a major gift might be $500. It could even be lower. It could be $100 if you're really just starting out. Whereas in a large established organisation, such as a university or a major institute, it's often considered to be $5,000 plus. In saying that, not all major gifts need to be treated the same either. Of course, there's a big difference between a major gift of $5,000 and a major gift of $500,000, and they both need to be acknowledged and stewarded accordingly. So finally, a major gift is really one that's of significance to your organisation.
Great, fantastic. I like the way that you make that easy for people to go and look straight away at their database with those percentages and be able to work it out and to talk about it in their organisation. That would be really helpful, I'm sure, for a lot of people straight away from today. That's great. Thanks, Tish. Let's jump into the next question. How do you identify a good major gift prospect?
Well, they're often hidden in plain sight. Again, your database. You've got this asset, hopefully, or you're building one if you're starting out, and you need to get to know the people that are on there. You should also be looking pretty close to home. Who's on your board? That's my advice. Start close to home. Dive into your database. Take a look at those that have steadily increased their gifts over a period of time is a good place to start. For example, you may look at Mrs. Smith, who has donated $100 a year for the last 10 years, but has, over the last 2 or 3 years, steadily increased her giving and is now giving $1,000 a year. Now, it might not be seen as a major gift yet in your organisation, but it shows a growing interest and growing loyalty. You might couple with that Mrs. Smith has also attended a stewardship event every year, or maybe 2 in the last 2 years, so she's getting more engaged. Outside of those donors, you might look at the positions or employers, suburbs and postcodes of the people in your database. So is there a chance that you have a high-flying CEO or a chairperson of an ASX top 200 company, or the trustee of a public ancillary or private ancillary fund right under your nose? Consider who's on your board. Who do they know from the other boards they're on or other places they're employed? Who can they connect you to, and what doors can they open? And who do your current donors know? Who are they willing to connect you to? You can ask them to bring a close friend to an activity or an event. You can ask them to introduce you to a peer, or indeed they may be interested in fundraising on your behalf. If you have a budget, Consider undertaking a wealth screening of your database. There's a number of providers out there. It can be really expensive, so it's possibly one that only a bigger organisation with a large database might undertake. But in one organisation I've worked with, it highlighted a number of long-term dedicated supporters who we were receiving gifts of $5,000 to $10,000 a year, but they were actually centimillionaires, so $100 million worth plus, and we had no idea. Hopefully that answers your question.
Wow. So the wealth screening, for those that don't know what that is, can you just explain that a little bit more? Because that's, it's, as you've just said, it's a potential gold mine in people's databases.
Sure. So there's organisations out there, and you can find them easily by getting onto Google, and they essentially take your database and cross-reference it with a database that they hold of high net worth individuals. So they are able to say, okay, you have a John Smith from this postcode and this address, and we have a John Smith from this postcode and this address. And what we know about this John Smith is that he has wealth in property, wealth in shares, wealth in business, whatever it might be. And they can normally give you an idea of total wealth and liquid wealth, which can be really helpful. And sometimes they'll also, depending on the provider, they'll be able to tell you if they're on other boards, who their employers are or have been, who some of their networks are. So you can get actually a lot more than just the wealth, but also some of their interests and peer networks too.
Fantastic. Excellent. That's a great tip. And so that's for people that have got fairly established databases or large databases?
It tends to be used by those people because it is expensive. It can cost in excess of $10,000 to $20,000 to undertake a full screening and have continued access to screening new people that you might identify as well. And so it is extremely helpful, but can be expensive.
Sure. Great. Excellent. Make a note of that, everybody. Wealth screening when you're ready to do that, perhaps in your organisation. Fantastic, Tish. Let's jump across into the next question. I've seen you in action in this area, and that is at the start of developing, a major gift program or a capital campaign. Can you run us through what are some of the key elements of a successful major gift program or a capital campaign program?
Sure. There's a few things that I always start with, and this is the part you've seen me work through before, Julia, which is articulating how the world will be a better place if you achieve what you're setting out to do. So providing that inspiration that is going to make someone want to do something big with you. You must have a big goal, one that's ambitious and a little bit scary to you and to everyone else, and one that people feel affects them personally. So how does it affect me? How does it affect my children or my friends or my family? One that they can relate to. And if you can tell the story right, it's so important. You want to give people goosebumps. You want them to straight away feel that connection. The universities have done it really well, particularly the bigger ones who are heading towards $1 billion in their campaigns. They're not talking about giving to universities. People know universities are important and they know they're good. They also think that they're very wealthy organisations, and giving to a university is not compelling in itself. So instead they're speaking about giving vision to the blind, or reviving an ancient language, or curing diabetes, or feeding the world. It's big, it's audacious, and it's inspiring. The other thing that is key to success is trust. You must be able to demonstrate to your donors that you are the best people to make the change that you say can be made. So you need to demonstrate your or your organisation's credentials. What are your previous successes, and how do you tell that story to people? And what partners have you got? In this day and age, people aren't looking often to support one organisation to do one thing on their own. They're asking, what will you do and who will you bring into it to make real, sustainable, long-term change? So who are your supporters? Who are your suppliers? Who are your partners? And what kind of testimonial or case study can you tell to show that you're the right people to do the job? You need to have people who are respected in the industry. So again, this, relies a bit on the trust aspect as well. But those people who are the face of the organisation or of the campaign must be respected in the field that they're acting within. And they need to be known to be someone who acts with integrity. Ideally, they're people with high levels of influence and authority in the field. Communicate is another key measure of success. You need to be able to communicate what you will do, should you not be hampered by funding, of course, and how you'll do it. Ongoing communication right from the beginning, starting internally, obviously, to get everybody on board, and also with your closest donors and supporters in testing the feasibility of such a campaign, but also communicating any progress, your needs, the desires of the organisation and its individuals, communicating your successes and your learnings, where things have gone wrong, but it's taught you something and you're going to take a different path now. And of course, communication of reaching the goal and any next steps that are going to be taken to build on it. You want to be successful, you need to ask. People often like to do all the other bits, but don't really feel that comfortable asking for money. So to do that well, you need to know what you need. You need to know what you're asking for. You need to be clear and confident and know what your project will cost and what the outcomes could be. And I say could be. I spend a lot of time working in medical research, and we talk about a vision a lot. But most of the time, research leads to something that doesn't work, not something that does. And so it's what could happen if it all goes right. So final tip, plan. And when you ask, be confident and know what you're asking for.
Fantastic. That's great. This is going to make such a wonderful, wonderful little video episode for people to go back and get all of that. There were so many goodies in that. And we're going to be talking more shortly about the big ask. And that's something that scares the pants off a lot of people. So Teisha's going to give us some great tips on that today. Just to let you know that we are recording. If you didn't catch that earlier, we are recording these. The full session will be available for you to watch back. And also each of these questions will be cut up into beautiful little episodes. And let me just show you where you'll be able to watch them. For those people, there might be people already here watching it on our YouTube channel, The Exchange Into the Future. Welcome to you. The Exchange is a new initiative from the X Factor Collective. We're super proud of it. As a group, it's full of ideas and inspiration and advice from members of the collective for you as social change makers and game changers. We'll have new episodes going up there all the time. The Ask X Factor Live program is our first program that's creating all of the great content for this. We have 50 videos on there at the moment, and we'll have about 125 by Christmas time. So over your Christmas New Year period, you can sit back and watch as many videos and some learnings to apply to your work next year. So enjoy. Please let people know about that. If you subscribe on there, when new videos are put onto the channel, you'll get a notification as well. So we are encouraging people to subscribe so you can keep updated that way. And the session, all the episodes with Teisha here today will be available there in the next couple of weeks, and we'll email you and let you know once they are there. Also, if you are new to Ask X Factor Live or to the X Factor Collective, this is an 18-week pilot program. We're hoping to enhance the program for next year. We've got a survey out with people at the moment letting us know what we can do more of, less of, better into the future. But over the next couple of weeks, we've got another 2 blockbusters. We're calling them our blockbusters when we've got 2 members on one day. Very exciting. Next week, we are talking all about comms, media, PR, how to raise your profile. This might be something that you need to do for next year. Might be your individual profile. You might be the CEO of an organization and you really want to build your thought leadership profile next year. come and learn from Julie Weldon and Jodie Artis next week here on Ask X Factor Live. The following week, we have our brand guru, Darren Taylor, who's just gorgeous. He's going to be on the show helping people understand that for those who are still stuck on this, your brand is not your logo. It is so, so, so much more. And he's going to help explain how you can use your brand more effectively to achieve the goals of your organization or of your business. The following week after that, we have two incredible women, Brenda Mainland and Annette Herschel, here talking about research and insights and how to use those more meaningfully to help you achieve your social mission. So come join in the next couple of weeks. We'd love to have you back. So let's get back in here with Teisha now. Let's jump on to the next question here, Teisha. Let me just have a quick look at my notes now. So let's look at timing, this issue of sort of timing and when's the right time. How do you know when is the right time to ask someone for a major gift?
Sure. Asking for a major gift should never come out of the blue. These sorts of asks are intrinsically linked to relationship building. So in my experience, because of the nature of a major donor's affinity to your organization, it's often quite easy to work out when the right time to ask is. You can normally feel it a little bit, but the signs of it include: have you connected them to your cause? Have they expressed a desire to see you succeed in what you do? Perhaps they've provided you with an example of a connection to the cause, such as a parent affected by a disease or a child who's passionate about a particular activity. You've got to check whether you've made it clear early on that you're going to ask them for support. This helps the whole process. You can ask them without asking them for a donation, and that's really important. So you might want to say something like, we'd love to meet you to discuss our upcoming projects and how you could be involved. Or we'd like to get your advice on these projects so that we can see them through to being successful. That old saying of ask for money, get advice, ask for advice, get money. Keep that in your head. You need to check that you've identified the right person to ask for the money before you do. You want to find the person they can't say no to. The person who is a really big influence, personally, professionally, whatever it might be, but a person who has some authority that they trust and they wouldn't want to let down by saying no. If they've agreed to meet you, you're 80% of the way there. You know, if you've done those questions of, we'd like to talk about how you could support, then they know you're going to ask for something. The question will be what? And sometimes they might have even in this process offered to support you. People say things along the lines of, well, just let me know how I can help. Or I'd love to see that happen. Wouldn't it be great to be involved in something like that? What a great project. I have a friend who'd love this cause. And, listen for those cues. It'll tell them if they're engaged or interested or willing. It's not a process you can rush. Take your time, build the relationship, but listen for those moments where they express their desire to see you succeed and give you some indication that they're ready to be involved. And then have your research done, have your planning done, know who's going to ask, when they're going to ask, what they're asking for, and when you've got all that in line, you should be ready to ask.
Oh, that's fantastic. Can I delve a bit further into that? I'd love to know from your experience, have you ever thought it was the right time to ask? And when you've arrived at the meeting or the front door, or as you've got talking with, a potential sort of donor or an existing donor, and you've just realized, no, I'm not going to ask. Has that happened before? And then, what do you do?
Absolutely. And the trick with that is I'll talk about later how you ask for the money. But often you have someone else involved and you've asked them to ask for the money. And so you need to have, a plan of at what point do we abort and how will you know that that's the indicator I'm giving you. I have had it happen. And in fact, I separate to asking for funds, but I was asking someone to be a patron for a campaign. And myself and someone of high level influence who we thought he would not say no to, was in the room. And within 5 minutes of conversation, it became abundantly clear this person was not going to have the ability to act as patron. Because of other commitments they had and the time that we would need them for. And so they had talked about, I know I'm retired, but I've just started a new business and I'm traveling overseas for 6 months next year. And I'm, all these things and all these indicators, and so we had a plan. And I think that's a really important plan for things to change. And I was able to say a few words in there to say, wow, it seems like you've got some high level commitments over the next couple of years. Would you still see this campaign as something you'd like to be involved in? And so we changed the conversation from a direct ask about we would like you to be patron to how did he see how he could be involved. Now, obviously, he's close enough that we thought he would be patron. But so we could have this quite open conversation about his support, which made it a bit easier.
Oh, that's great. And what happened?
He supported.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he certainly connected, friends and family and offered to, host a dinner to bring people together to talk about the cause. So, there's other ways he could support. And in fact, funnily enough, everything he offered were all roles that a patron would undertake, but just not in an ongoing capacity for, that couple of years that we were initially thinking more as an ad hoc type support. Yeah.
And just on that, like when you say you bring somebody else in or someone that is influential to that person is involved,
yeah.
Are they people that have had a lot of experience with asking?
Not necessarily. What I look for in the people who would ask for the money is not really experience in asking. They need the confidence to ask. That's really important. But you can teach someone how to ask and you can certainly brief them on how to ask. In my experience, you need someone with authority within your organisation to be able to show that this is a serious project or a serious ask, with adding weight to it because the CEO or the director or this, head of whatever area is the person here meeting with you. And also they can demonstrate the passion for the cause. When I've worked in medical research, for example, I did science in year 9. It was the last time I did science. So you don't want to ask me about heart disease or diabetes or any of these things. I have this, broad level knowledge that will only get me so far. But if I bring a scientist along with me to that meeting, and in fact, the top scientist, the director or whoever it might be, then they can talk with passion about what they do, what they've put a lifetime into. And they can also add that weight of this is a priority for our organisation where you can see I'm the right person to undertake this and we need your support. We're asking at that level.
Fantastic. Great tips. Let us know, drop a note to us in the chat box. You can see us, we can't see you. We'd love to know, what's your experience with asking donors? Have you done much of it? Does it scare the pants off you? Teisha, do people that have been doing it for years still get nervous?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good to know.
Every time, because you're still just having a really educated guess that something will work.
Right.
And you can do all your research and you can know the person really closely, but you don't know what happened that morning at breakfast. Things change pretty quickly. And so you do get nervous because you know that you will always have to make on-the-spot decisions when you're in that meeting. And you hope that when you make that, you make the right one. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If you get a 1 in 4 success rate, then you're doing pretty well.
That's great. Well, let's move on to another question within this whole asking space is how do you work out how much to ask for?
Sure. It comes back again to planning and research. You need to know your prospective donor. Um, what's the largest gift they've ever given? It doesn't mean that you can't ask for more, of course. You can always, push some boundaries. But if you're asking for more, you need to know why they should give more to this than anything they've ever done before. Like I said, with the wealth screening, if you know their liquid wealth compared to their total wealth, that's helpful. If someone has $100 million in wealth, that's fantastic. But if it's all tied up in property or businesses or whatever else, then asking for $10 million might be, not the right thing to be doing. You need to know how connected they are to your cause. And how well do you know them? Is this the first gift they'll ever give you, or have they been lifelong supporters? So you want to ask for a gift that stretches them. If you know them well, ask them to give the gift that they've never given before, the gift that will make them feel really proud of the change that they could make. If you don't know them, consider their support of the causes that they're most passionate about and compare that to the affinity of your organisation, and maybe get an understanding of the level of gifts you can ask for there. You need to consider the long term. If you ask for a smaller gift now as a first gift at a lower level, does that mean you'll get them in the door, so to speak, to build the relationship to be able to ask for that major gift in future years? It is a long-term game. Don't rush these things. I'll say this a few times, I'm sure, today. Don't rush it. If you ask for a gift that's too high, sometimes it's flattering, and you'll have them say something like, I would love to be able to give you that much, but we're not able to. How about we support in this way? If you ask for a gift much too high, it can be embarrassing. That response of, you clearly don't know us very well. We could never or will never give at that level. You don't want to be put in that space. And asking for a gift too low is just really disappointing. And I say that it's disappointing for you personally when you ask for a gift and you think it's big and you think it's, going to impact, and they go, sure, and write a check right there in front of you. And you go, oh, they can just write a check for that on the spot right now. Disappointing. And it can be disappointing for the person you're asking as well, because they might say, you've just told me this is life-changing, this is world-changing, you've inspired me, and now you've asked for that much. Is that really world-changing? You've got to think on their level of what might be that, really impacting ask. You want to always ask for just a little bit more than they'll feel comfortable with.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you would work that out, but I guess that's what you learn over time. And like, you can have a coach like you being able to work with someone to just help them work that through. But it just seems like it can be quite scientific, like just getting that, what's a little bit too much, what's not enough.
Yeah, there's
getting that balance.
A lot of research and planning, and very rarely, I shouldn't say it never happens, but very rarely do you call someone on the phone, get a meeting, and ask them for support. It seems like that to the outside world, and as fundraisers, you get quite used to people tapping the director on the back and saying, well done, you got $1 million donation, good on you. And they've sat in a meeting for half an hour and asked for it. But before that, there's been a team of people or some really dedicated individuals who have done a year's worth of planning to get to that moment. So, it is challenging, but if you've done your research and you know the person you're meeting with, then you can get to a point where you feel comfortable on what you should ask for.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, I'll let you have a glass of water for a second and just share some more information briefly with our participants today, and also our viewers into the future who are watching this at the exchange. There's a couple of different things that we're going to be introducing at the X Factor Collective, and that is looking at different ways that we can help you access knowledge. And one of these things is this really great idea called spot check coaching. And that is really applicable for this space where you might be going into a meeting, this afternoon, and you just want to speak to your coach for 15 minutes just to have a quick pep talk and just to check things before you walk in there, and working with someone really experienced who has been in the same boat as you. So Teisha is one such person in our X Factor Collective as we get going that can offer that spot check coaching and work with you. And I'm just going to show you a couple of things here. I love the spot check coaching idea, Teisha. It's really awesome, isn't it? So let me just show you. You can jump onto our website, and we have a section on our website called the Cafe, which is basically like our shop. So you can see that there. Just over here is a fundraising coaching on-call package. So this one's with Teisha. You can have 6 30-minute calls that you can use, and you might use that during the planning stages or the intent stage of a campaign. Whenever it is that you want to use it, you can buy that package and then use that time as and when you need to. So that's one really great way of connecting in with experts in our community. All of our members, as we grow, have their own profile page. I'll just show you this here now. This is the X Factor Collective website, and you can go in here under community, under our practitioners, and here's Teisha's page, for instance. So you can read there about her different areas of specialisation, a bit of information about her, and some testimonials from clients that she's worked with. So feel free to jump on and have a look at that after the session today. Another way, if you're not sure what you need, you can dip in and out of the X Factor Collective for expert help as and when you need it on demand, is concierge. So just click on concierge. Our concierge service at the X Factor Collective is really the heart and the hub of our community, where you can, little pop up there, where you can pop in at any time and get real support from people that have got a lot of experience across the sector. So we can listen to what it is that you need, and if we've got people in our community, we'll be able to link you to them. And if we don't, we'll let you know, and we'll let you know where else you might be able to find the support that you need in the community. So a couple of ways that you can connect in with us at Concierge and in with Teisha as well. So let's jump back into it. We've got about another 10 minutes to go. If you've got some questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat box or the Q&A box. We'd love to hear from you and help you out today. So let's jump back into it, Tish. Just finishing up on this whole notion of asking, I'd like to know from you about, the words and the language and the way you would structure, asking. What sort of words do you use? Can you give us some examples of when you're asking someone for a large amount of money?
Sure. Firstly, as a fundraiser, I often don't say anything. In most cases, my job's done in the background in the months and sometimes years leading up to that meeting. And when it comes to the ask, like I said, I have other people in the room with me. So the first, ideally you have 3 people. The first is your authority, the person who can speak at the high level of the organisation with some passion and authority about how the donation would be used. The second is an influencer, someone who the person can't say no to. So a peer, an idol, someone who's asked them for a favour before, someone they admire, an industry or social leader, and they're often the best person to actually ask for the support. But if it can't be them, then maybe it's your CEO, and if it can't be them, then on occasion it's the fundraiser. So when it's been me, and through my experience, you've normally built a relationship with the person, and they trust you because either they've worked with you or someone else has provided that testimony. If they've come along, again, you're 80% of the way there. The way I ask is I always start with a vision. As an example, in a previous role, I was asked to seek funds for a big, expensive piece of medical research equipment. Now, it was a big machine that went ping and did things and was really expensive, and Year 9 science, don't understand it. So, you've got to look at these things and say, it's not the machine that is the fundraising ask, it's what could be by using the machine. So instead of asking for money for a machine, what I asked them to do was to imagine a world where we could diagnose a heart attack 10 years before it happened. And that by doing so, we could stop it from ever happening, meaning we could eliminate heart attack. Now, by doing that, it connects the individual to something much more personal. In this case, heart attack, which is so common in society. They might immediately think of a father, an aunt, a son or a daughter, or someone they know who they love, maybe themselves, who has suffered from a heart attack. Once you've got that personal engagement, you've given that vision, then you talk about how you're going to achieve that goal and what help you'll need to do that, and then ask them to be that help. So you can tell them what you need and then ask them to provide it. That's where you get to the machine. It's way down there. It might be an hour-long conversation and the machine is in the last 15 minutes. You've inspired them, engaged them. They want to know more. And they maybe in this process, they actually say, what can I do? We've got to make this happen. That's what you want. You want them to jump in and say, I've got to make this happen. You don't give them an out. When you ask them for what you're asking for, this machine costs $4 million, perhaps we're asking someone for 500,000. You ask and you trust that you've done your research. You trust in everything you know and you've learned, and you wait. You don't give them an out. You don't say, or 250,000 would do this, or, don't offer them an easier choice. It's not what you're there for. You're there to encourage them to support something that you know they care about, something that you know they believe in, something which could make a huge difference. And you should feel good about asking that. You should feel proud to ask, and you should feel like you're making them proud to be asked. I hope that covers everything.
Wow, I love that. I've never heard anyone say those words, that you should feel proud to ask.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of talk about the sense of pride that you actually have being on that side of the conversation.
Absolutely. And you become, as you get connected to these causes, you become very passionate yourself about them. And you are doing nothing wrong asking someone of means to give to something they believe in to have a great outcome. Fundraising can be seen as a, dirty little secret in the back corner, but actually you're doing pretty amazing things. And I think it's something we should all, yell from the rooftops about.
That's beautiful, Teisha. I love that. Thank you. Let's jump across into a couple more questions before we wrap up. Hopefully you're getting some great tips from this today. Please let us know your thoughts, share them with us now or after the session today. Tish, how do organisations know when they're ready to run a major campaign?
Sure. There's a few key elements. Firstly, like I've said, you need to be able to clearly and passionately articulate your vision. Not your organisational vision necessarily, unless it's great and you don't want to change it, but many aren't, we know that. But your campaign vision. Why would someone support you with a major gift? And I say this because a campaign is not business as usual. And you can't ask someone to give you a large amount of money simply because you do good things. And you'll do more good things if you had more money. It has to be something that inspires people. And if you can't articulate it, then you're not ready. You need to have a supporter base. You've got to know who you're going to be asking for this money. Do you have the base to get in the majority of the funds? It's fine to say we'll seek out new donors and we'll use our connections, but you need to know you've got a good part of it in your database already. You can test this by bringing in some of your really close supporters, those you would trust to give you advice, to ask them if they would connect you to peers for the cause you're asking. You can test your vision with them and say, does this inspire you? And is it something you'd want to take to your friends? And if they say no, then you've got to go back to the drawing board and start thinking about it a bit more. You need to have an operational strategy. Campaigns don't run themselves. There are a lot of additional work to the day-to-day operations. And while campaigns can pop up unexpectedly, and I have seen it, as an example, I worked in a university where a major optical observatory telescope was donated, a $2 million telescope, and suddenly we had a campaign to build an observatory. Really quickly, because, hey, we got a telescope, we don't have anywhere to put it. And so suddenly $5 million campaign out of nowhere, it makes it extremely difficult if you don't have a plan in place. And that one was a good challenge. We got there in the end, but a good challenge. And finally, I would say you need to have passion. You have to have everyone on board. And I mean, everyone. Campaigns are extremely difficult if they're not supported by the whole organisation from the top down. The board must be supportive, as they'll need to introduce their peers, ask for support, promote the campaign at every opportunity. The executive need to be supportive, as they'll need to back the campaign through making sure you've got the appropriate funds and resources, asking as well, and promoting the campaign. And you need staff on board. After all, these campaigns are a lot of work and can be high stress. And if you can't inspire the people inside your organisation, what hope do you have on the outside? I'm not sure.
Excellent. That's great. Great advice and great steps to follow there for people to be able to take that back into their organisation and have a good conversation and a good look at what they're doing and seeing if the timing is right. That's great, Tish. Let's move across into a final two questions here, if that's okay. This question is, how do we articulate our vision so that people will give to our cause?
Sure, this is one of my favourite things to do with organisations. It can be really challenging. You want to give people goosebumps. You want them to not just want to be involved, but need to be involved. And to do this, you need to ask yourself a lot of questions of why do we do what we do? Why is it important to do what you want to do? What will happen if you don't take action? What will happen if you do take action? Why do we want that outcome or not want that outcome in some cases? And how will the world be a better place if we make it happen? This helps you identify what it is that makes you special, or as we say, what you're going to be famous for. To do this, there's lots of questions. Keep asking questions. You need to consider, how is your work, program, or project world changing? Why now? Why is it urgent now? And why will a major investment of funds make a difference now? Again, it's not business as usual. It's something much bigger. And then what are your proof points? What are you doing that shows that you're the right people to be undertaking this work and not one of the many organisations who probably do something similar to what you do? You know, we know there's thousands upon thousands of charities in Australia, all of them doing great things, and a lot of them with overlapping vision and purpose. So you need a campaign vision, you need a big scary goal, and you need your proof that you can pull it off. That's your elevator pitch. These needed to be embedded in your organisation at all levels, so that it is intrinsically who you are and what you do, and everyone believes it.
Great, fantastic. Yeah, that's brilliant. Now, I will mention as well that Teisha does do a full day. Do you do it as a half day as well, Teisha, or full day?
Yeah,
full day and half day workshop if you need help to articulate your vision, and your organisation vision is not your fundraising vision. That's what Teisha's taught me over the years. But getting people in the room to be able to get that really crystallised to actually start that ball rolling is something that Teisha's really great at. I've seen her in action. It's incredibly inspiring. I've seen people, with holding back tears, people that don't cry, holding back tears because they've been retouched by their own organisation's vision and purpose. So do let us know if you want to have some help with that, and we can get you connected up to Teisha. We have had a question come in here from Brett, and I'll just read this question out, and hopefully we've got the right understanding around it, Brett, so please feel free to clarify. Brett's question, Tish, is, how different is the ask made to a key influencer on a foundation compared to an individual philanthropist? So I might just clarify, Brett, when you say a key influencer on a foundation, is that within your organisation or external of your organisation? Maybe you might want to just clarify that there for us. So now we're looking at I guess, Tish, what are the differences in asking? Yeah. So Brett said the chair of an external organisation that gives out money. So how different might those asks be, Tish?
Um, they could be different, they could be the same, depending on the organisation. But I would say where they may differ is with a philanthropist, you're really looking for a very personal approach. So you're looking to connect them directly to your cause because they are their decision maker. So, for example, we have, Mr. Smith, and I'm working in an area that's looking to cure cancer. Now, my connection to Mr. Smith might be knowing that he has a family history of some sort or a personal incident with cancer in the past. And so I can build a story around that, connecting him to something he believes needs to be made right. With a trustee or a chair of a foundation or those sorts of things, you're more connecting to the purpose of the foundation and their reasoning for being involved in that foundation. So again, the story might be the same, but he's got to look at it in some ways of a business sense. Why is this much more important than that, what that cause is doing over there? How do I rank this against that cause? How does this meet our constitution or the values of our organisation? And not only his personal connection or her personal connection. If their connection is personal, then that helps, and you should still try and connect to that if possible, because they might become an advocate for you to the foundation. But it can be challenging. I would say, yes, there will be some differences, but a really well articulated vision where you've done the research on the person or organisation that you're asking should, in some sense work across the board.
Great, fantastic. Brett, does that help you, give you some, perhaps an answer to that question? Does it give you some tips on what you might be able to do next in those situations? Drop us a line there. Brett said, thanks, no problem, Brett. Here for you at any stage. Come join in any other session in the future and hopefully we can help you some more. Tish, let's jump into two final questions. We are running up to the hour, but I would love to get these questions in if that's okay with you.
Sure.
The next one is looking at the tools and collateral that can help you in your work. And one of these that we hear about often is the case for support. So can you talk us through what is a case for support and why do organisations need to have one?
Sure. A case for support is, I think, a vital fundraising document for any campaign. It can be extremely useful for major gift fundraising activities, acknowledging that it is not in itself an ask. So don't let it become your ask. It's a document, it can be electronic or print, that outlines the key information for anyone who might consider giving a major gift to your cause. It's usually and ideally given face-to-face at a meeting where you've just spoken about the campaign to a prospect at the first meeting you're having about the campaign, before an ask is made or at the time an ask is made. It includes your vision, how will you make the world a better place, your success to date, why people should trust you and not someone else, the biographies of the faces of the campaign, who's going to lead it, who will make it happen, who are the influencers, who's the authority, the project or program itself, what will you do and how will you do it, what it will cost, what investment you're looking for people to make, and then the actions that you want the supporter to take. Throughout the whole document, there should be case studies, testimonials, great imagery, things that really connect people to it. And remembering that any given donor or prospective donor might only read a couple of pages, or the headings. So those big, a quote here that inspires, a good project title, these things become really important, images they can connect to. So if we acknowledge that a campaign is not business as usual, that it's something extraordinary, it's urgent, it's vital, it's world-changing, then your case for support is the document you leave with the donor after you've met with them, and when they're starting to consider what their gift might be. So they take away that, They leave the meeting and hopefully they do flick through it and it further inspires them, or it provides them with that trust that they need. They can see there that you have the right people involved, that you've mapped out your costings and what the investment needs to be, that you've got other partners that are going to make this happen. It should answer the questions they don't yet know that they wanted to ask. It should allay their fears of their donation being wasted. And a great case of support is an excellent tool to support your ask, not the ask itself.
Right. Great advice. Fantastic. If you don't have a case for support in your organisation, that is another service that we can help you with at the X Factor Collective. Just drop us a line if you need some more help to understand or look at some examples of really great case for supports. We are coming up to the hour. I do really want to ask this question because it's something that I see a lot of people struggle with, as do you, Tish, and that's getting buy-in at a higher level within the organisation. And so I'd really love your thoughts and insights on how would I get my board more involved? How would I get my executive more involved in this whole work, in fundraising and major gifts and campaigns?
Sure, it can be one of the easiest or the hardest things to do. Okay, ways that you can bring them along for the ride. Include them. Ask for their advice. Demonstrate your progress to them. Ask for their advice again. Especially include those who you're most worried about including, the ones who you think will hinder your progress, who might not be totally on board. Make sure you have them in the room. Get their concerns on the table early and address them. If you can do that and convert the people who are sitting on the fence or sitting on the other side of the fence, then you're going to come a long way to bringing everyone on board. Ask for help. Ask people to introduce you to their peers, friends, and others. Ask for their help in identifying prospects. Acknowledge that they may have concerns about doing that, and be transparent about your process so that they can understand that you're not going to treat anybody badly, that you're not going to harass people for money, that you're not going to embarrass them in any way with their peers. Ask them to host meetings, lunches, front the media, tour your major prospects, whatever it might be. Get them front and center in easy, simple tasks. If they come along to a lunch and just talk to the people at their table about what they love about the organization, that's a great way to get people involved. Finally, inspire them too. We've talked about vision and telling a story. Tell them the story. Sometimes you get what you need from the top of the organization strategically, but sometimes even they are looking at it in very much a business sense. So inspire them, tell them the story that you're telling people, articulate it in a way that means something to them, like you would for a donor, that reminds them why they are involved in this organization in the first place.
Beautifully answered. I'm so excited that we're going to have that as a little tiny video that so many people across the world will be able to just watch that and hear those really simple, tangible ways to get, more people involved, and, what your role is as a fundraiser, like, having that sense of pride and being able to bring more people into the picture and make the magic happen. So thanks, Tish. That is brilliant. That is going to be a wrap. We have got through a record number of questions this morning. Like I said, they'll all be available as little mini episodes that you can go back and watch. You might want to share them with other members of your team and your board and whatever, just to be able to help you achieve your goals there in your work. So thank you for sharing, Tish. Thank you for preparing for today. We very much appreciate you and having you in the collective. Please feel free to join us again over the next couple of weeks. We will send you a link to the rest of the program. That's the Ask X Factor Live program, a few more weeks to go. If you liked the session today, if you think this is a good idea, please tell us. Please give us feedback and please share it. We are on Facebook and LinkedIn. We would love it if you could share this with people. We are doing this for free. It's a free knowledge sharing program. Please help us get the word out there. Have a beautiful rest of your day. It's a beautiful sunny day here now today in Melbourne. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we hope to see you again soon. All the best. Bye, everybody. Bye, Tish.
Thank you. Bye.